Hello guys, how's it going? My name is Dalren, and Classic World of Warcraft is very exciting. But whether you're someone who is first coming back to the game or you used to play before, there's a good chance that in 2019, you might want to load the game up with a couple of add-ons. Maybe your first time playing the game, you want to be immersed into the experience, but by the second time around, or maybe if you're someone who wants to actually do some endgame content, there's a good chance you might want add-ons to either simplify things, make things easier for you, or help you play your class better by giving you far more information. In this video, I'm gonna go over 8 useful add-ons that I think you guys would like. These are add-ons that are the most downloaded, but also a couple of them are my personal picks because it's just my personal preference of how I like to view the game. There's nothing that says you have to play the game with add-ons, so you're free to do whatever you want. Whether you want to play the game completely vanilla, as clean and scrubbed as possible, or if you want to add a few different add-ons in order to change the game up to your setting, you are more than welcome to play around with them as however you wish. Anyway, let's get on with today's video. There's a lot of quest reading in World of Warcraft Classic, as in you actually really do need to read the quest in order to figure out where you have to go. So with this add-on called Immersion, it does help break up the quest reading a little bit better. It displays you clearly exactly what are some of the rewards that you might get, and also it goes over the quest lines a little bit in a much slower fashion. So you're able to read things paragraph for paragraph with this nice bit of UI that shows up. This add-on is just a personal choice for me. I thought it was an interesting addition to help you figure out and parse exactly what you have to do from quest to quest. It adds a little bit of extra cleaner UI stuff if you really truly want to get immersed into the game while you're playing the first time around. However, if you want to be efficient with your questing, and let's say this might not be your first rodeo at leveling a character in World of Warcraft, either vanilla or classic, then I suggest getting Azeroth Autopilot. Azeroth Autopilot adds you a little few more UI elements and helps track your quests and tell you exactly what you should do quest-wise in order to get the most value for your experience. The quests itself are displayed and you can kind of combine and show where you want your quest to be, so I kind of put them at the center of the screen so I know exactly where to go. It also has a handy arrow at the bottom that tells you exactly where you need to go and gives you a bit more detail on what you need to do for quests if there's anything specific that needs to be done. It also automates certain things like auto picking up quests, and even in at least BFA, it can auto pick up what kind of loot you want, as in it can give you the loot for the highest item level. Although in Classic, you should still probably parse the items that you get because it's a little bit more of a personalized experience. The add-on will also show you a little bit of a hint of what enemies you have to kill or where you should look for on the map for certain items. Let's say a quest tells you to pick up certain amount of plants for a vendor or for a druid out in the forest. The add-on will actually point on the map exactly where you should look for these things. It won't show you exactly what these items are, but it will show you the common spawn points. It'll also update your map with where you need to go to turn in quests and where you can pick them up, which does give you a little bit more UI elements to figure out where the hell to go. The questing experience back in Classic is definitely unique. It makes you open your eyes a little bit more. But if you're someone who is just finding this type of system that Classic had back in the day a little bit maybe too much at first, and you want more of the original World of Warcraft questing system that you might have gotten used to from one of the newer expansions, then this add-on will not only help you quest faster, but a little bit more efficiently, and will help you put up more information to find out what needs to be killed, what doesn't need to be killed, what you need to grind, what you need to do in order to accomplish your quest to finally hit that level 60. Another convenience of Classic World of Warcraft that you simply do not have are the bags. The bags are a little bit messy. The bags are very similar to that of Battle for Azeroth, but even BFA has a couple neat features, like a bag cleanup and being able to indicate what items you want per bag. So you can have one bag for consumables, one bag for your gear, and one bag for all of your crafting components. So it gives you a little bit more customizability. But none of that stuff exists in World of Warcraft Classic. So if you want yourself a viable bag add-on in order to tell you exactly what your pieces are, what gear you have, what is a quest item, and what is a usable item for gear, then you might want to pick up Bagnon. It helps you parse the information on your screen a little bit better and helps make the bags feel a little bit more organized. There's also a lot more detail that you can go into to apply this add-on for your bags, for your bank, and other items as well. But for Bag itself, it definitely helps you parse out information because it does a little bit of a highlight around items that are usable, items that are not usable, quest items, as well as types of gear. When running dungeons in Classic World of Warcraft, there is no bits of UI information or a dungeon journal to tell you what loot does a boss drop, whether it's a raid boss or a dungeon boss. With that element being out of the game, it was very difficult for me to figure out what kind of loot a boss may be able to drop that might be useful for my rogue, for example. I'm someone who likes getting surprised by random loot, and just the other day I got a sword from a boss. It's more a tank sword, but still my rogue can use it. And while it was nice and surprising, eventually I will want to itemize my character a little bit better. So an add-on like Atlas Loot simply will let you take a look at what kind of loot a boss may be able to drop. So if you're someone who is more serious in Classic World of Warcraft and wants to itemize your character, whether you want to be a twink or a fresh level 60 with the best in slot already prior to a raid, then you definitely might want to get yourself Atlas Loot to see what kind of loot bosses may be able to drop. This might help you plan things a little bit easier, but also it will give you other information, like being able to see boss models before you get to dive into the dungeons or raids. I personally kind of like exploring the different bosses and models that Blizzard was able to put for back in the day. And in BFA, I really do enjoy the dungeon journal because I can see some of the items a boss may be able to drop. Maybe even take a look at them, how it looks on me as a transmog, or even simply take a look at different boss models in detail. And Atlas Loot basically lets you do everything a dungeon journal can. So since I'm so used to it, I'll probably end up installing it myself. Another add-on that I recommend everybody else to get, this is going to be my personal recommendation, but unit frames improved. Don't get me wrong, the unit frames in World of Warcraft are great, they do serve a purpose, but whether it's Classic or Battle for Azeroth, sometimes I have a hard time telling if that's a priest, is that a mage, could that be a shaman, or is that a hunter? It's really hard to tell unless you know every single buff that every single class has, or you're able to look at the bottom right of your screen and read exactly what class it says they are. Unit frames improved will display that information right in front of you by, first of all, giving you and everybody you target a much larger, fattier health bar, so you can see exactly how much health you have or an enemy has, but also color coordinated to be a player class as well as NPC, friendly and non-friendly. Immediately you can tell if that's a druid, a hunter, a shaman, or a priest. The one thing I will say is a little bit kind of weird and might be jarring if you're someone who used this add-on in current World of Warcraft. Shamans look pink, but that's only because shamans back in the day actually were a pink color. Since paladins were only for Alliance and shamans were for the Horde, they do share the same color of pink. So you might have gotten used to the dark blue that shamans have on live, but after getting used to this, it really does tell you a little bit more information. I think this add-on would be very useful whether you are trying to get a group for a dungeon and you can see everyone's class, or when you're PvPing out in the world and you're trying to figure out what class you are about to face against. Next add-on on the list is going to be weak auras. I don't think anybody really has to be explained what weak auras are, but basically it shows you more UI information to track things. It can track things like your energy bar. It can track your cooldowns. It can even track buffs and debuffs, which are very important to track in Classic World of Warcraft, as that is not simply part of the base UI. So weak auras can be used and modified. You can get a lot of the templates for weak auras off of website WAG.io. So if there's certain things you want to track, like maybe you want to clean up UI, you don't really want to show your energy bar all over the place. You want to kind of center things to the front. Maybe you want to add some flashy animations to track things and give you reminders for, hey, when is your energy coming back? Hey, what's the cooldown of your sprint or evasion for your rogue? How long do you have on that garrote that you just put on an enemy? Weak auras can track everything. What I think I'm going to use my weak auras mostly for is tracking CC, particularly in PvP. Nothing in Classic WoW UI shows you exactly how long a crowd control ability will last. So for me to know exactly how long my gouges and kidney shots will last on an enemy target when I'm trying to lock them down and burst them in PvP, I think that's going to be very important when it comes to min-maxing my character. Another very useful add-on that I think you guys will like is classic cast bars. Now, in Classic World of Warcraft and back in the day vanilla, you actually didn't really have any cast bars above enemies' heads. So if an enemy is casting a spell at you, it was very difficult to tell if you're about to get hit with a powerful spell. And the only way to tell if an enemy was casting is to listen for the sound of a cast bar, as well as look at enemies' animations, but also if their hands are glowing or radiating with a specific effect. So if a warlock's hands are covered with a shadow pulse, then there's a good chance that they're casting a fear at you. So as a rogue, the only way to tell if an enemy is casting spells is to really pay attention. Classic cast bars allows to put cast bars above enemies' heads in terms of their nameplates, but also unit frames, so you can see the cast bars a little bit easier. I would think this add-on would be extremely useful not only in dungeons as well as raids, but also in PvP, to make sure you are aware of what spell the enemy is about to sling at you. This might not be a great add-on if you do want that classic World of Warcraft experience and you really do want to pay attention to those small details when it comes to the game, the environment, and the combat. But it's really hard to justify not using this add-on if you're someone who wants to take classic World of Warcraft super serious, whether you want to do PvE content or PvP content. Then, of course, we have Details, which can also be interchanged with Recount or SCADA. It is your basic combat damage tracker add-on. It tracks the damage you do, the damage outgoing, the damage happening around you, and the damage happening to you, as well as healing and other bits of information like interrupts, CC breaks, and more. I like Details because of the details that it brings, but also I'm simply used to the UI as well. And when I play video games, whether it's a casual game or a hardcore game, I like to track and find out how much damage am I doing, as well as am I being the most efficient with my damage output. So Details will help me figure out what hits hard from a rogue and what doesn't hit hard, to figure out what's going to be my best rotation and at least tell me where most of my damage comes from. So small insights like this are very important for me. And if you're someone who wants to, let's say, compare your DPS against others, or simply be aware of just how much damage output you are currently doing right now in the game with your character, let's say you want to improve on the DPS at a later time, then Details definitely is an add-on to get. But I shouldn't have to tell you guys more than once, since everybody and the mother runs something like this on BFA already. There's a good chance this will eventually become popular in Classic. Anyway guys, thank you so much for watching this video. I do hope you guys enjoyed. I gave you all the add-ons that I thought were extremely useful, and hopefully you guys find them useful to yourselves. Whether you use these add-ons or not, it's really up to you. Play Classic however you want. It's all about the personal experience, and if you want your Classic WoW experience to be as authentic as to vanilla World of Warcraft as possible, you're more than welcome to forego these add-ons. But if you're someone who wants to improve in your character, maybe you want to track a bit more information, you feel like Classic baseline just doesn't give you enough that you need for your gameplay, feel free to adjust it with add-ons like these and many more. Thank you all so much for watching this video. I do hope you guys found this video helpful. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below, and I'll see all of you guys in another video.